Alright, we should be live now. Let's see here. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, audio sounds good. I'm just going to put this in the Discord and then we can start. Hold on, everybody. Just give me 1 second to set this up in Discord. Alrighty. We should be good. Taking slow to get back into YouTube for some odd reason. Let's see here. What's good, Lucario, Crockett, big winner, Nick, welcome to the game, welcome to the game. To the stream, I saw Lucario's message that said games. So, the games we're watching today are the 3 games listed for Saturday, which Cowboys, Patriots, Diablos, we're ripping off the Band-Aid now, and Panthers, Saints. I figured it'd be, I guess, realistic to do the 3 scheduled for the first day. I don't know, that kind of randomizes it. For the order of the games, I think we're going to do Steamers, Dallas, Saints, Panthers, and Patriots, Diablos. Texans head coach? Okay. Good to know who exactly you are, sir. I fiddled around with the sliders some more to make them, again, more offense-oriented, so hopefully we have some more high-scoring games. At the end of the season, I am going to consider moving to arcade or competitive instead of simulation, because there are way too many low-scoring watch games, so hopefully we have some interesting offense. How do I feel about the Lions front office? I am ecstatic right now. I am extremely happy that Matt Patricia's gone. With Bob Quinn, I would have been okay if we kept the GM Bob Quinn. If it was up to me, he'd be fired as well. But I think we made the right moves. I didn't know if Sheila, the owner, Sheila Ford, I didn't know if she had it in her, but we did it. So we are on the coach and GM hunt this offseason. I imagine we're going to get a GM sooner, and then he'll probably pick out the coach, which should be fun. Hey Siri, can you pick a number between 1 and 2?
2.
Siri picks 2. That would be Dallas because they're home. I have to do more research on who I want for the GM, but for head coach, I think my top choice is Brian Daboll, the Bills' offensive coordinator. Then Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs' offensive coordinator, and then probably Greg Roman, the Ravens' offensive coordinator. Seems like the best choices are on offense this year, at least for me. Let's go with the Dallas throwbacks. Yeah, these bad boys. Love that the Chiefs have the Sunday game. I think the Chiefs and Texans are going to be interesting. I think Kansas City has a legit shot to upset them there. X Factors, we got Khalil Mack and Tyreek Hill. Superstars, Teron Armstead, Kevin Byard, Zach Ertz, Lane Johnson, Josh Allen, Shaq Lawson, and Mekhi Becton. Lions should sign you as their GM. What an idea. What if a random fan like me just applied to be the Lions GM and got the job? That would be funny. That would be funny. I would love to work in an NFL front office one day, but I didn't think it'd come this soon. I mean, knowing Detroit, I mean, anything's possible. So, I'm kind of hoping Jim Harbaugh is not fired, just so we're not tempted to hire him. Because I don't think we will hire Jim Harbaugh, but I don't think there's a 0% chance we would hire him, and I really hope we don't. I mean, he was a good head coach with the Niners. He took them to a Super Bowl, but I really don't want that. Roman is hurting his head coaching chances, absolutely. At the beginning of the season, Roman was my #1 guy, but I mean, it seems like the defenses has kind of caught on to like the ticky-tack plays and the trick plays with the Ravens and some of Lamar's antics. So he's a guy I've really fallen off on. The thing with Bieniemy is I don't think he's the play caller for the Chiefs, but Andy Reid has a very successful coaching tree, and I'd be thrilled if we hired Bieniemy. And then Brian Daboll, he calls the plays and is actually having a really good season, so that's why he's my number one guy. Daboll or Bieniemy, I'd be ecstatic. Roman, I'd still be intrigued by. And then anybody else, I'd probably have to figure out. And then there are some guys, obviously, like Jim Harbaugh, who I just don't want. Sounds like an NFL comedy romance move. Confusion. And I'm curious to see what we do with Stafford. I mean, we're entering a total rebuild, I imagine, so the core of the team is going to be torn down. And I think there's a legit shot someone like Kenny Golladay is not on the roster next year, which sucks. Obviously, we have some guys who are building blocks going forward. But I think in a year or two, we certainly got some young guys we can build around. We have signed guys like Taylor Decker to big contracts. He's not going anywhere. But I can't imagine in 3 years from now Matthew Stafford's going to be our starting quarterback. As much as I love the guy, whether it's smart for us to move on from him or not, I think the new regime is probably going to pick out a new quarterback sooner than later. If Ryan Day were to ever jump to the NFL, you would be big sad. I don't know if I'd want Ryan Day at this point. I mean, he's only been a college head coach for, what, like 2 or 3 years? Granted, he's been really good. I would not hate Urban Meyer, though. I don't think Urban Meyer is on the top of my list, but I wouldn't be totally against hiring him. I don't know. I don't think we will hire Urban Meyer, but that'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting. What are the Sunday games? Well, we're not actually watching them on tomorrow. We're probably going to watch them early next week. But those games are obviously the Chiefs and the Texans, Raiders, Dolphins, and Bucks, Niners. I think we got 6 really interesting games. I'm happy that the slate for the wild card round is actually quite interesting this year. It's unfortunate that Matt Patricia's not coaching any of these games or any real-life NFL playoff games in the near future. But yeah, it is a very good day to be a Lions fan. I knew Patricia was going to get fired at the end of the season. I wasn't sure about Quinn. I thought there was a good chance he'd be fired, but I mean, doing it now, it's kind of pulling the plug on the season, so our playoff chances are down the toilet if they were not already. Darrell Bevell is the interim head coach. I liked Bevell a lot last year. I've kind of soured on him this year. I don't think he's all that good. But what is Dallas doing? They're going for a 58-yard field goal here. Okay, they're trying to put some points on the board early. He might have actually got that. No, he almost did, though. That was close. I didn't think the kick would be that near. I think it had the power, but it was wide right. Kind of hard to tell. We don't get a great angle. Can totally see Ryan Day being in the NFL rumors. I could see that as well. Going into the season, another guy I was really high on was Lincoln Riley. But I wouldn't be totally against hiring Lincoln Riley, but at this point I'd kind of just rather someone in the pros. And who knows, maybe a good head coach ends up getting fired out of nowhere who's not a great head coach. Kind of like Dwayne Casey with the Pistons a few years ago. Now, I don't love Dwayne Casey, but maybe a guy like that who's a solid head coach on a solid team gets fired. Probably wouldn't be my top choice, but I wouldn't be opposed to that. Kind of like, who could get fired on a mediocre team? There aren't many good examples. So, I don't know, Mike Zimmer. I don't think Mike Zimmer gets fired, but I guess he works. If Mike Zimmer were to hypothetically be our head coach next year, I'd be happy. Oh my word, it's a fake! The Steamers faked it! So both teams have made some pretty bad special teams choices already. Dallas with the long field goal. Steamers faking the punt. I mean, if it's 4th and 4 and you're faking a punt, that's one thing. But 4th and 1, just try to punch it in. Mike McCarthy, oh God, no. Not Mike. If I'm Dallas, I don't believe in firing head coaches after 1 year. I don't think he should be the head coach next year, though. I think this is one of those rare instances where you just got to cut your losses and move on. But, I mean, there's going to be a number of teams who fire their head coach this year. Obviously, the Jets, Jacksonville, Dallas could. The Eagles could. Minnesota, possibly, probably not. Chicago could. That's a pass interference on a 3rd and 21. What a boneheaded play by the corner. Chicago certainly could, though. Atlanta already did. Who else? The Bengals could. Zach Taylor doesn't seem all that good. The Broncos, probably not, but it's possible. The Chargers could. And, yeah, that's a number of teams. Who would you rather have as the Lions head coach, you or Fat Patricia? Can I choose or? Can I choose or? I mean, if I picked you, at least you would recognize that, I don't know, after a first half, let's say we're down by 14, that changes to be made. With Matt Patricia, I mean, it was just the same thing with him. Doesn't make adjustments. If you keep trying the same thing, you're not going to get a different result. At the end of each game, his press conference answers were always the same. We didn't execute well, we got to execute better. I feel like he said that after every game. When you replace Freddie Kitchens with Kevin Stefanski, it's kind of hard to do worse than Freddie Kitchens did, to be fair. To be fair, does Freddie Kitchens have a job? Oh yeah, he's with the Giants. What is his role? Because Jason Garrett's the offensive coordinator, so Garrett's not the OC. Or, no, Kitchens isn't the OC, I'm dumb. Oh hey guys, what's good, Rigo? Welcome to the stream, my guy.
To Austin Hooper. 5 yards on the play. And it's 3rd down.
31. Eason keeps it himself. Jacob Eason is not a particularly mobile quarterback, but he gets it. Now, we've not had a lot of offense today still. Now, neither of these offenses on paper or ratings-wise are great, especially Memphis. Nick Foles has been really good for Dallas in the sim, but he's also 75 overall. He can only do so much in watch games. What's good, RMP? Welcome. Kitchens is the tight ends coach for the Giants. What a fall from grace. From head coach to the tight ends coach. Ironic considering how many passes Evan Engram has dropped this year. I wonder if the new GM is going to recognize that you should not pick tight ends in the top 8. I mean, I like TJ Hawkinson. He is really good. But, I mean, we could have had a guy like Brian Burns with that pick. That would have been sick. When you replace Jack Del Rio with John Gruden, wonder what he's a defensive coordinator somewhere. I think Washington. Jack Del Rio could be a possible head coach again. I mean, he's already been a head coach twice with the Jags and the Raiders. I don't think it's likely he would get hired as a head coach, but I suppose it's possible. I don't think I'd be happy if we got him, but I guess better than Jim Harbaugh. Then again, I'd rather hire myself as a head coach of the Lions than Jim Harbaugh. Tank in the Iron Bowl. Oh dear, that game's gonna be a blowout, isn't it? Have we had 2 what-a-punts today? By Dallas? I didn't even mention the first one. But, what a punt! I'm pretty sure they had a what-a-punt, or not by Dallas, by the Steamers. Dallas had an inside... No. Memphis had an inside the 10, so both teams have a what-a-punt today. And I didn't even notice the first one. Freddie Kitchens is also one of those head coaches where you should definitely fire him after 1 year. Yeah, absolutely. What is your reaction if Freddie Kitchens gets hired as the Lions coach? Well, it's not going to be a good one, I'll tell you that. Would I rather Freddie Kitchens or Matt Patricia, though? That's the question. I mean, even if Kitchens is worse, on the bright side, it's not Patricia, and we know Patricia does not work here. So, Tank do be elite. So I think Freddie Kitchens would be an upgrade over Matt Patricia. I'm not even saying that he's better than Patricia. And obviously, I'd probably choose Jim Harbaugh over Freddie Kitchens. And as I've stated about 10 times today, I want nothing to do with Jim Harbaugh. You could probably coach middle school, high school, or maybe a small college. The Virginia State Tech Fighting Beavers. I doubt that's a real school. I just came up with that in my head. But that'd be humorous. Why is Tyreek Hill wide open? No, can somebody seriously explain? He wasn't just wide open. He was like, I don't think there was anybody 20 yards from him. And that wasn't even Tyreek Hill burning defenders. That was just awful coverage. Look, there was nobody on that side of the field. There was literally nobody on either team on that side of the field. That is unbelievable. Hope you pray that Bill O'Brien gets hired as your new head. What if Bill O'Brien got another head coaching job? Dear Lord. I mean, we have a GM vacancy. What if Bill O'Brien was hired as the head coach and chose himself to be the GM? If that happened, I would, as much as I love my team, I would legitimately consider switching teams. The ineptitude there would be unbelievable. Social distancing on that play, clearly. I guess Tyreek Hill tested positive, but the Cowboys said, hey, this is a playoff game. You're our best player. You have to play. So the Steelers just don't want to touch him. That could be the reason why he was that wide open on that play. Memphis is not that good in watch games. I mean, I think we only watched them like twice, but, I mean, I picked Dallas because Memphis has a pretty poor history in watch games, and with the Cowboys, we saw them beat up on Columbus earlier in the season, I think. Bill O'Brien would trade Galladay for a 5th-round pick. He really would. When we can hypothetically let Kenny Galladay go and probably get a 3rd-round compensatory pick, Bill O'Brien would say, no, we're going to get a 5th-rounder for him instead of a 3rd. I genuinely think he would do that.
He's brought down at the 39-yard line. A gain of 4. It's now 2nd and 6.
But I'm curious to see what the new GM does with Galladay, because I don't think it's a sure thing he's back next year, which sucks because he absolutely should be back next year. But I don't think it's a slam dunk that Matthew Stafford will be throwing passes to Kenny Galladay in Detroit next year. Your middle school coach is the middle school Matt Patricia. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
O'Donnell in punt formation.
The sad thing is I wanted Matt Patricia too. I was extremely happy when we hired him. And, I mean, the writing should have been on the wall after that first game against the Jets. His very first game, that he sucks. But I was still a believer in Patricia up until early this season. Like, obviously, after last year, I recognized that he's probably not that good, but I still thought there was a chance. And after, like, week 2, that's when I quickly realized, no, this guy ain't it. The amount of leads we've choked under Matt Patricia is wild. And the crazy thing is, before Patricia, when we had Jim Caldwell, we were a good 4th-quarter team. Like in 2016, I think we had like 11 4th-quarter comebacks. Okay, maybe it wasn't 11, but we had like at least 8 or 9 4th-quarter comebacks that year to win. Not that Jim Caldwell was that good of a coach either, but I mean, he is light years ahead of Matt Patricia. What if we hired Jim Caldwell again? That would be interesting. That's probably not a good move, but that would be funny. As your offensive coordinator for middle school, Freddie Kitchens. What a pairing. Matt Patricia as head coach, Freddie Kitchens as offensive coordinator. They'd probably put Adam Gase at defensive coordinator, even though he's an offense guy, just because of how bad that coaching staff already looks.
Dustin Colquitt on the punt.
What if we hired Adam Gase? Dear God. Would I rather Patricia or Gase? That's an interesting question. I would honestly rather Adam Gase. I think Gase is worse than Patricia, but we've seen how bad Patricia is with the Lions. We have never seen Adam Gase lose a game with the Lions, because obviously we've never had him. Gase obviously sucks, and I want nothing to do with him, but he led the Dolphins to a playoff spot about 5 years ago as their head coach. Not that he was any good, but he's made the postseason. He's won 10 games in a season before. As it looks like the Steelers' offense has been about as good as the Matt Patricia-led defenses. Cowboys have a chance to make it a 2-score game before halftime. It's not that he doesn't adjust, it's that he changes his playbook way too much. Like, most of the players don't know what a base cover 3 is in your middle school. So he's the opposite of Matt Patricia. He changes too much, whereas Patricia does not change anything. Caldwell is at least a competent head coach who can get us to the playoffs. Exactly. Jim Caldwell was never going to get us over the hump, and I wasn't that upset when we fired him, and I really probably would not want Jim Caldwell back, but he's not an awful head coach. Matt Patricia is an awful head coach, and I think there's a good chance Patricia is never a head coach again, nor should he be. But, I mean, Jim Caldwell was a good enough head coach. He's not going to lead us to a Super Bowl, but he had an over 500 record in the 4 years with us, which is impressive because in the past 60 years, I don't think any other head coach can say that they've gone over 500 with us. Patricia falls over before the 4th game of the season. I mean, he broke his foot a couple years ago. I think the training camp before his 2nd year, he was like in an ATV the whole time with a boot, so it's possible. Looks like Dallas is going to kick a field goal here, make it 10-0. I think the Steamers started with the ball, so... Oh, they're going to run another play. Yeah, this is a bad call. They're out of timeouts. I don't know what they're doing. You're going to be a middle school coach when you grow up and be the Bill Belichick of middle school. Well, power to you. And it looks like I was right about Dallas running another play there. You had 13 seconds and no timeouts. If you're going to run a play, at least just take a shot for the end zone or out of bounds. But I mean, with Madden, we shouldn't really expect anything less. Steamers are lucky they're only down by 7. Memphis has just looked atrocious. On both sides of the ball, to be honest. As it looks like the graphic is only going to show 2 wild card games, even though obviously there are 3. It's also going to keep us stuck on this screen for the next minute. Okay, I don't know about the next minute, but of course it chooses to be slow. Alright, there we go. And it still won't let me leave the highlights. EA Sports for you. Who would be a better head coach? EA's clock management team or Matt Patricia? Probably Matt Patricia.
Dustin Hopkins set to kick off.
Yeah, Dallas is starting with the ball. If Dallas scores on this drive, I don't think Memphis is much of a shot, just because their offense has shown us no reason to suggest that they're going to score any points today. I feel like Dallas is an elite running back away from honestly being a true contender. I mean, Nick Foles has actually been really good this year, which is kind of odd, but I mean, he is the #1 guy in Tyreek Hill. They just need a legit running back. In real life, where are the Raiders in your power rankings? I would say probably a little bit above average. If I were to do power rankings now, I would say the Raiders are probably in like the 11 to 14 range. I think they're a borderline playoff team. I think they're good. I think Derek Carr is really underrated, I'll tell you that. I think Derek Carr is probably a borderline top 10 quarterback. We might have 5 to 8 new head coaches for next season. Yeah. I mean, how many have been fired already this year? 2? With Bill O'Brien and Dan Quinn. So Patricia is the 3rd. Adam Gase is a lock. Doug Marrone is a lock. And then there are a few other guys who could be fired, like Anthony Lynn, Matt Nagy, Vic Fangio, possibly, Mike McCarthy, possibly. So I would say at least 6 or 7, which should be quite interesting. And of all the new head coaching spots, I think Detroit is probably the least attractive, just because we're not a good team now. We don't have a lot of great pieces for the future. We have no real elite player, nor do we have that elite young player. Entering the season, we would have said Okuda, but he has not been all that good this year. Now, part of it could be coaching, part of it could be that he's just not ready, and that's the case for a lot of corners. So I'm not giving up on Okuda by any means. But, I mean, on defense, there's literally nothing. On offense, I mean, Galladay, but his contract is up. After that, other than that, few offensive linemen, Hawkinson, Swift, and that's about it for the young pieces. Bengals and Eagles could as well. Bengals should. The Eagles, I think they still have an attachment to Doug Peterson because he won a Super Bowl with them. I think Peterson's certainly on the hot seat, and he's not been good this year. But I don't think they're going to fire him. I think they're going to give Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz probably one more year. And if those two both continue to struggle next year, Peterson's gone, and Wentz I don't think has any more guaranteed money after next year. So they could just cut him and look for a new quarterback or go with Jalen Hurts. Khalil Mack is hurt. Oh, dear. As if the Steelers' chances could get any worse. If, hypothetically, the Eagles were to cut Carson Wentz next year, I think it's more likely they'd look for a new quarterback than go with Jalen Hurts. I think they drafted Hurts to be like a Taysom Hill type guy, and they just haven't really used him that much. And when they do use him, they only run the ball with him. It's so predictable. Bengals should absolutely fire Zach Taylor. Absolutely. In the past week, there have been like so many reports that have like suggested that their locker room is like extremely toxic, and that has to stem with poor leadership and poor coaching. So Zach Taylor should not have a job next year. If there's one good thing about Joe Burrow getting hurt for them, it's that chances are they'll get Penei Sewell, which they need a guy like Penei Sewell, clearly. I mean, that offensive line sucks. What's good, Boom? You had to do something for your brother. No problem. But welcome anyway. As you can tell, Memphis sucks, and we've mainly been talking about real-life football, specifically good old Matt Patricia. What a guy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the lead running back, had 1 carry in the first half of them. 1. Yeah, you cannot be giving your lead running back 1 carry in a half. I don't care how bad your running offense is. Still crying over Joe Burrow just as an NFL fan. Oh, I'm with you. Joe Burrow was easily a top 10 quarterback this year. Like, just this year. Maybe not in general, but if we're talking just this year, you could make a case that he was arguably top 5. So, I think he's going to be... I think there's a chance he does not start next year because he, I think, tore his ACL and his MCL. I think he'll be good long term. I don't think this will be a serious injury that ruins his career, but I suppose it's possible. And I certainly hope not. I mean, he's a fun young player, so... Predictions for the teams to get any new coaches are Texans, Falcons, Lions, Jags, Jets, Bengals, Cowboys, and Chargers. I would say that's about accurate to what I would say. I think there's a chance. I feel like Mike McCarthy won't get fired, which he absolutely should. But I think out of the Bengals, Cowboys, and Chargers, I think at least one of those teams are going to keep their coaches, and I don't think any of them should. I think Anthony Lynn's a fine head coach, but I mean, the Chargers have just choked so many games this year that I think they just have to move on from him. Bungles, why you must destroy everything you touch? Because they're the Bungles. You're a divisional rival of Joe Burrow, and I'm sad. That's when you know that, like, it's so hard to dislike Joe Burrow. How could anyone not like that guy? It's like if Mahomes had a terrible injury, you'd be crying. Exactly. Imagine if Mahomes got hurt. Oh, my word. That would really suck. And if Mahomes never does get a serious injury, then in 20 years from now, where is he going to be in the GOAT conversation? I know it might be too early to say that, but there's a legit shot that he could be in that discussion. Oh my word, Memphis actually has a good offensive play. That was on 4th down too. Good for them. Not that they're going to win this game most likely, but good for them. Could be nice if you could win the division. Are you guys only? You guys are only like, oh no, you guys are what, 3 games behind them? Hypothetically, if Mahomes were to unfortunately get hurt today and not play for the rest of the season, or let's say it in a more positive way. Let's say if Patrick Mahomes just chooses not to play the rest of the year, could the Raiders possibly win that division? I don't know if I'd say it's likely, but it's possible. Raiders seem to be the only team who knows how to beat the Chiefs. So if you're the Chiefs, you are definitely hoping that you do not meet the Raiders in the playoffs. As Memphis finally scores. I did not think they were going to score today. Eric Bieniemy of the Chargers just seems perfect. I think Eric Bieniemy is probably going to go to Houston. I mean, him and Deshaun Watson would be a lot of fun. So would Bieniemy and Justin Herbert. But if I were to guess, I mean, a lot of these offensive guys like Daboll and Bieniemy and Roman, the guys I want, they're probably going to try to go to like Houston and the Chargers, teams with maybe Cincinnati as well if they open up because of good young quarterbacks. I think the Jaguars and the Jets are also enticing options for guys like that because chances are those are going to be the teams who are picking in the top 2. So you're going to have either Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, which is also a very young, enticing quarterback. So I'm a little bit worried we might not get the guys high on my list because they're going to be highly sought after by teams with better situations. Where would you put Cleveland? If we're talking power rankings, probably a smidge or 2 ahead of the Raiders. Not by much, but probably a tiny bit below the top 10. I would say the 10 best teams of the league right now, in no order, are the Packers, the Seahawks, Rams, Saints, Bucks, Chiefs, Steelers, Bills, Cardinals, and then either the Titans or the Colts at 10 and 11. So I guess that's 11. That's tough. That's interesting. We beat Cleveland and the Chiefs. That does not, by default, make you better than them. Beating someone head-to-head does not make you a better team than them. That just means you were the better team that day. Like, the Chiefs could go out and lose to the Jets. That does not make the Jets better than them by any means. Some teams match up better against other teams, but that doesn't make one team better than the other, if that makes sense. Are the Steelers actually going to come back and win this? That would be unbelievable. Memphis has no business winning this game. Beat them in their own game, both the Browns and the Chiefs. I mean, I'm not saying the Raiders are a bad team, because they're certainly not, but I mean, the Chiefs are the best team in the league, and I don't think it's all that close. I mean, you can make the case for the Steelers since they're 10-0, but I'd say the Chiefs are better. And then with the Browns, I think using head-to-head is a little bit more fair at the Browns because them and the Raiders are really close. But I would still say Cleveland's better. Not by much. Not by much. Third and 17, not looking good here for the Steamers at the moment with under 3 minutes to go. This game is going really quick. What do you do on 3rd and 17? You throw a screen pass, and it actually kind of works. They get like 16 yards on the play, so now it sets up a much more manageable 4th down. I think the Steelers are going to get knocked out in the divisional round. I mean, it's possible. It depends on who they play. Probably would not be the Chiefs. Probably would not... The Chiefs and the Steelers are going to get the top 2 seeds in some order. So, who would they play? Buffalo, Indy, Tennessee, maybe Cleveland, maybe the Raiders, maybe the Dolphins, if one of those 3 teams can get lucky. Any given Sunday, any team can beat any team because it's the NFL, and these are 32 professional football teams, hence why the Jets would beat Clemson by like 30. No way! Memphis on 4th down will tie the game. This game looked like a lost cause for the Steamers, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire on 4th down with a 49-yard touchdown run. So now we got to see if Nick Foles can bring back that inner Super Bowl magic and lead the Eagles' rival, ironically, the Dallas Cowboys, to a divisional round appearance. Love how people try to discredit by saying the Browns have beaten bad teams and have gotten exposed by good teams when you beat the Colts, who just beat the Packers and Titans. I mean, you can't really take the Colts head-to-head in matter because any team can beat anybody, but beating the Colts is a good look for your resume. Let me see the Browns' schedule real quick because I don't fully remember who they've beaten and lost to. All right, let's see here. So the Browns have beaten the Bengals, Washington, Dallas, Indy, Cincinnati, Texans, and the Eagles. Wow, those are bad teams. The Colts are good. Everybody else on that list is not good. But, I mean, you got to play who's on your schedule, and that's what the Browns have done. They've lost to the Ravens, Steelers, and Raiders. So they've had 6 bad teams, and they've gone 6-0. So they've had 6 bad teams and 4 good teams. When you have the bad teams on the schedule, you're supposed to win those games, and the Browns have done that. Play the Dolphins week 16. That does have huge playoff implications. That could legitimately determine one of the wild card spots. Let's say that the Steelers, Chiefs, and Bills are locks to win their division. I mean, the Bills aren't a lock, but let's say those 3 teams win their division. Let's say the Titans win the AFC South and the Colts get the 5 seed. There are 2 spots left and 3 teams battling for it with the Browns, the Raiders, and the Dolphins. So that game really could determine who makes the playoffs. Memphis gets a stop. They have a chance to win here. Holy cow. The Browns get to play the Giants and the Jets and the Jaguars. Why is the Browns' schedule this year so easy? They have so many cupcakes. I mean, they still have to play Tennessee, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, but they also have the 2 worst teams in the league on their schedule, and the Giants aren't that much better. Save the Sky Dome. Steamers have 2 timeouts. Oh, it's intercepted! Shaq Griffin, what a play! Nobody deserves to win this game. Can we just eliminate both of these teams now? Nobody wants to win. Hopefully beat the Titans in Tennessee and Ravens on Monday night. That'll definitely shut the Crickets up. And it's a fumble! And it's picked up by the Steamers! Oh my gosh! Memphis is going to take the lead! What has happened? Wasn't it just 14-0 at the end of the 3rd quarter or something? Nobody deserves to win this game. Point blank, period. Can we, eliminate both of these teams? Good God. Dallas gets a turnover inside the Steamers' part of the field. All they have to do is make smart plays. They can kick a field goal and end the game. No. Strip sack for a scoop and score on the very first play of the drive. We really have to see Memphis in another playoff game. Memphis has done so much better since Tyler lost his job as their head coach. Coincidence? I think not. Rip the Sky Dome, 1989, I don't know. To sometime in the 2020s. Oof. We have the Cupcakes. Well, let me see the Raiders schedule real quick. I'm kind of curious. I think if the Raiders make the playoffs, they're legit. Unplugged, but we're back. But I think the Raiders could be a legit threat in the playoffs. Maybe not to win a Super Bowl, but to win a game or 2. Dallas is all 3 timeouts. They can still, especially the guy like Tyreek Hill in their offense, Dallas is not done yet. Dallas is not done yet, folks. Now the 33. All right, the Raiders have Atlanta, the Jets, the Colts, the Chargers, the Dolphins, and the Broncos. That is an easy schedule. The Colts and the Dolphins are good teams. The Chargers have Justin Herbert, so you can't count them out. The Broncos aren't absolutely abysmal. Neither of the Falcons, and then the Jets are the Jets. So you have one awful team, 3 pretty bad teams, and 2 fairly good teams. So the Raiders don't have any elite teams left. I would say this is a pretty easy schedule. There are 4 teams that are clearly worse than the Raiders, and 2 that are right on the same level as the Raiders. Huge sack for the Steamers. Dallas has a cold time. What happened to Tyler? He was removed from the league for undisclosed reasons. Stuff. Yes, stuff. I don't want to go into detail, but I will say it's not necessarily stuff that happened in our community specifically, but the people who are, I guess, closer to the situation, I don't think they'd really want me to say. No way! Dallas ties it with 5 seconds! Tyreek Hill, I told you Dallas isn't out of it. What an ending to this game. Well, I shouldn't say ending because we still got overtime. What a previous, 2 minutes. This game has been absolutely insane. Quite the start to our first playoffs in OFL 21. Wow. Just wow. Remember last year when the Giants played the Lions in the final playoffs of OFL 20 and that game went to the end of double overtime? That game was nuts. Both teams are really choking. If they block it, I swear. If they block it, we're just going to end the stream because this is way too much. Okay, they don't block it and the kick is good.
The kick is good.
He done jinxed it. So barring some sort of Hail Mary, I mean, Jacob Eason does have a cannon. I'm not saying he's going to launch it 80 yards down the field, but Jacob Eason has a... Okay, it looks like there's not going to be a Hail Mary. Nope, 1 second left. They need a 74-yard play. They might just kneel the ball here, which honestly is probably a smart idea because with the amount of craziness today, I think you're better off just kneeling it and taking it to overtime. Okay, they're just going to run it, and it's a gain of 5. So our very first playoff game will not end in 4 quarters. The Steamers, with 21 points in the 4th, will take it to overtime. The OFL 21 is a bunch of bad teams winning with bad quarterback. I don't totally disagree with that. The Steamers have won the toss. I thought tails never fails. So Memphis will start on offense. They have fate in their own hands and have an opportunity to win this game and move on to the divisional round, where they will play one of 5 different teams.
Steven Gostkowski set to kick off.
And your team, who has Patty Mahomes, went 5-11. All the good quarterbacks didn't make the playoffs. Mahomes didn't. Lamar didn't. Russ did. Rodgers did. The MVP, Ryan Tannehill, did not. Joe Burrow, who is probably the best statistically, did not. Certainly some odd quarterbacks in this playoffs. I mean, the Raiders have Colt McDonald. Some very odd. Who is the best quarterback in these playoffs, other than Mahomes and Rodgers? Not Mahomes. Other than Russ and Rodgers. Who would it be? Ratings-wise, it might be Riley Painter. But if we're talking about how they've played this year, it's got to be Isaiah Thomas. You don't even use... He started 12 games, so I count that as the starter. The main starter. Mahomes was just benched for the purpose of losing, and it didn't really help them because Keaton went 1-0 and threw 4 touchdowns because he's that much of a beast. Memphis moves 3 yards on their opening drive. Why does that not surprise me in the slightest? So now, whoever scores first wins. I trust Dallas's offense way more than the Steamers' offense because Nick Foles is better than Eason. And any team with Tyreek Hill in this game has a chance to win this game. And look at Nick Foles' numbers. I mean, just incredible. You went 2-2 in those. Yeah, you guys went 2-0, I think, in your last two games, I want to say. So, benching Mahomes was not really helpful. James White has good numbers today, too. 16 carries, 79 yards, and touchdown. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Second and 5. Foles under pressure. He is sacked by Jordan Phillips, who has 2 today. With how good these defenses are, I'm a little bit worried that this game could go on for a while. Ole Miss game is close. Who's Ole Miss playing? 3rd and 18. They don't get it. So again, it's whoever scores first wins. Hell, I bet it's the entire team and you still won. That's true, and you guys beat the 2 seed. You guys put all your backups in and a punter at quarterback and blew out the 2nd seed in the NFC. That's just how wild Madden Simulation is. Mississippi? No, are they playing Mississippi State? Okay, yeah. I'd say Ole Miss is probably the better team there. Especially since Kylan Hill opted out like a month ago for Mississippi State. Their season kind of went down the drain then. Not that they had college football playoff aspirations before that, but I mean, they're not that great of a team with a new coach. I mean, Mike Leach is obviously a goated head coach. Everybody loves Mike Leach, but I mean, they're just not that good. And Ole Miss is good. Lane Kiffin has quickly made them good. And that is such like a goated coaching matchup. Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach. Hopefully the first of many battles between those two. Sucks they only play once a year. Your dream is to play long snapper at North Dakota State? Well, I'll tell you what, that's a realistic dream for just about anybody, so go and get it. Jinx had 2, Ole Miss throws a touchdown. Jinx something else. I don't know. See if it works. Steamers are like 2 first downs away from field goal range. So they've got to get something here on 3rd and what, 9? Yeah, these offenses have been stiff so far in OT. Got a bunch of men in motion. Darrell Bevel would never. And they get it. Okay, drive is still alive for the Steamers. I'm fully prepared to see a blocked field goal end this game. I really am. Louisville-Boston College game is close. Interesting. Mike Leach always has a sort of bad okay first season with a new team. I mean, you can't really expect him to have that great of a season, considering he's implementing a totally different philosophy. I saw a statistic the other day. Wait a second, didn't Mississippi State just play someone? I remember just watching them against like Georgia. I could be wrong, but I feel like I just saw Mississippi State play. Like 2 days ago. Because they're not going to have Mississippi State play within like a 3-day span. So hold on. Because I had major confusion. I'll check back with the chat in a second. Dustin Hopkins on for the field goal. A 57. Oh, they're going for the field goal now. 57-yarder. And it is no good. I don't think anybody wants this game to end. Okay, Mississippi State is playing Ole Miss, yeah. Did they not just play Georgia? Their last game was against Georgia. November 21st. That's last weekend. Maybe it was a replay of the game. Okay. I was going to say, yeah, I was confused. Go them boys! Well, now Dallas with 2 timeouts just needs a couple first downs and they can win the game. As Tyreek Hill chooses to run backwards. Doesn't look like the forward progress really hurt him there, though. Georgia's playing North Carolina? I thought North Carolina was playing Notre Dame yesterday. Maybe like NC State, is that who you mean? Yeah, we're going into a double overtime, it looks like. Unless we have some miracle bomb for Tyreek Hill again, which is possible. When is Florida playing? I think Florida's playing now. I don't remember who they're playing. Hold on. I'll give you a hint. They're playing some team in the SEC. Yep, that'll do it for overtime number 1. Oh, Florida played Kentucky already and they won. Okay. So just like the first playoff game last year, this one is going to double overtime. Oh, South Carolina. Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Wait, so Dallas gets to resume where they had the ball? Is that how playoff overtime works? If that's the case, that's a dumb rule, because that pretty much means that the clock does not matter. That can't be a rule. And if that is the rule, that is extremely... Holy cow, what a punt. Oh, that was in the end zone? Felt like it was going to go out at the 1. Who did Florida lose to? Nobody. But let me see the playoff overtime rules real quick. That cannot be true that they could just resume their drive going into the second overtime. That is so dumb, if that's the case. That cannot be real. All right, let's see here. For the playoffs, there's no... Oh, that's a 4th overtime. If the score is tied at the end of an overtime period, or the second team's initial... Oh! Because their possession was not over. Okay. So normally there would be a coin toss, but since Dallas's first drive wasn't done... Okay, that makes sense. I see. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, I'd say that's a fair rule. He said, wow. With how long this game has gone, I don't know if we're going to have time for 3 games today. Because I'm fairly busy towards, like, the end of the day. So, I mean, I assumed we'd have more than enough time to fit in 3 games, but this has been the length of, like, 1.5 games. Florida lost to Texas A&M. Oh, you're saying who did they lose to? Yeah, they lost to A&M early in the season. But if Florida wins out and beats Alabama in the or I guess Texas A&M in the SEC championship, Florida's gonna make the playoff. I mean, they have the star power to appease the committee, and they arguably have the Heisman favorite in Kyle Trask, who is now a realistic option for the Lions to draft, and I really don't know how to feel about that. Someone please just end this game. I am with you. I mean, this has been a battle, but so far here in overtime, this has gone on way too long. We had a full game plus a full overtime, and now another half of overtime so far. And it doesn't seem like, considering Memphis has the ball, they don't move it particularly fast. We'll have a Big Ten championship of Northwestern Indiana. Dear Lord, that would suck. I mean, on the bright side, it's 2 programs who never get to make the Big Ten championship, so good for them. What would happen to Ohio State if their game gets canceled next weekend? If they still went out, would they still make the playoff? I would guess no. Whether they deserve it or don't deserve it. There's a legit shot. The only two conferences representing the playoff this year are going to be the ACC and the SEC. And this would mean that Notre Dame counts as an ACC team. So we could have, like, realistically, Notre Dame and Clemson, and Alabama and either Texas A&M or Florida. Or they could just say, screw it, and give it to BYU or Cincinnati. Just like everyone expected. Liberty's beating South Carolina. Didn't he just say South Carolina was playing somebody else? I'm major confused. Oh, are you talking about basketball? That would make more sense. The Steamers are in field goal range, finally, so let's just hope they make it and end it. I don't really care who wins this game, but can we please just have an ending? Honestly, I'd rather Dallas win because I think Dallas is more interesting and more of a fun team. But, I mean, we've still had one crazy game today. Which one am I commenting on? I was talking about your statement. Could the game finally be over? A 53-yarder. He missed it! Oh my God, he missed it! Are you kidding? This game will never end. This game will never end. All right, Dallas, you actually have firepower on your offense. Give the ball to Tyreek Hill, get into the field goal range, and please end this football game for once and for all. Oh my word, he caught that. All right, so bearing a turnover, it looks like Dallas is now going to win this game. I would love to see like the ESPN like win percentage thing. That would be such a roller coaster. Are they going for the kick now? If they are, thank you, Dallas. Are they going for the... That was Josh Gordon who made that catch. They are going for the kick. All right, just make it and end this game once and for all. And he got it. Well, that's how you start a postseason. Double overtime, nearly 3 overtimes. And the Dallas Cowboys barely squeak by the Memphis Steamers. Watching the Bad Boys Crossover Classic this week, a.k.a. yesterday, the day before, and the day before that. We have quite a week of college basketball. When is Kansas' next game? Hold on. I'm having trouble finding illegal streams to watch the Kansas game, which sucks. Because with Adobe Sports app, you can watch any professional league. You can watch college football. So I was able to catch a little bit of the Duck game last night. But you cannot watch college basketball, which sucks. But when is our next game? Kentucky on Tuesday. Yay. I knew we played Kentucky soon. I don't know if it was that was our next game or not. All right, let's take a look at this box score. Obviously, these numbers are going to be inflated because this was a very long game. What's the time of possession looking like? All right, the game was 46 minutes long, and with 8-minute quarters, it's meant to be 32 minutes. So an additional 14. Nick Foles played out of his mind. He should have ended this game a lot earlier. Jacob Eason was very meh. Well, that's an hour I've never... I mean, it wasn't an extra hour. I would say it was probably an extra, like, 20 minutes. Even so, I mean, I don't know if we're going to have time to fit in 3 games today. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had that really long run. Other than that, he wasn't terrible. James White was fine, too. So, the sliders certainly made this game fun, I'll tell you that. But they also made it way too long. But still, certainly an instant classic. Definitely the most exciting game we've had so far in the OFL season. At the end of every episode that has a green thing yelling, "Mommy, it's over," I'm confused. OSU plays you. I assume that you mean you. Oh dear.